as people, as Americans, as New Yorkers, we have to come together and fight these policies because people are going to be affected and families are going to be separated, and it's our duty not to let these things happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayla. Next, I would like to introduce Albert Fox Khan. He is the legal director of the Council for American Islamic Relations here in New York, and they are one of the leading allies in fighting back against Islamophobia. Please welcome Albert.
Hello. I wish we weren't back here talking about another Muslim ban, talking about discriminatory laws and unnecessary restrictions, but here we are, because the President of the United States refuses to abandon his campaign pledge of an unconstitutional Muslim ban. We're here today because the President once again is trying to keep families apart, to keep many of our neighbors abroad, to stop people who want to pursue the American dream and just build for themselves the lives that many of our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents came to this country to build. And it is disgraceful. And I want to make it clear that no matter what improvements were made in this bill, a watered-down Muslim ban deserves our undiluted dissent. We cannot be any quieter today because one country was removed from the list. We cannot be any quieter today because the President's lawyers tried harder to hide his discriminatory intent. We know what this bill is, what this executive order is, because he told us. Time and again on the campaign trail, the President of the United States told us what he wanted, and that was a Muslim ban. In his transition, his advisors told us that they were searching to enact a Muslim ban. And today, yet again, the power of the United States government is being used not to protect us from a threat, but to enhance prejudice and reinforce the most misguided notions of this faith. And I want to urge all of you to stand in solidarity with the Muslim community. We at CARE are launching an initiative today called Register Me First. The idea is that if they are forcing my Muslim neighbors to register, if they are banning my Muslim neighbors, well, I will stand with them. If they want to come for me, if they want to come for my Muslim neighbors, well, they better come for me first. So registermefirst.com allows everyone, regardless of faith, regardless of background, to sign up and to show the scope of objection to this unconstitutional ban. And we urge everyone to sign up today. We will give you tools and resources to stay part of the fight to push back against these sorts of restrictions. I am here as a Jewish man who fights every day on behalf of the Muslim community, and I want to show the President of the United States that I'm far from the exception, that there are millions of Americans of every background who will not sit down, who will not be quiet, who will not for one moment accept the sort of bigotry we saw enacted into law today. And we will fight until the last element of this Muslim ban is repealed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are going to hear from Rabia Al-Tabani. She is a Yemeni American whose family is directly affected by this Muslim ban. She's been very active ever since before the first Muslim ban and helped to lead the Yemeni bodega owners boycott. So please welcome Rabia to the stage.
Woo. Thank you. So, I'm Rabia Al-Tabani. I'm a Yemeni American U.S. citizen and the daughter of Yemeni immigrants. I'm also a Yemeni American community activist and was one of the organizers of the bodega strike that took place last month, a week after President Trump signed the executive order halting all immigration from 7 countries, including Yemen. My family immigrated to the United States in the 70s and the 80s. And like all immigrants, my family came to this country in pursuit of the American dream. I have cousins who are NYPD cops, who have served in the Iraq War. My family, we are landlords, we are business owners and professionals, and we've served this country for more than 30 years. This executive order has affected thousands of Yemeni American New Yorkers, including myself and my family. Currently, my husband, who is a Yemeni national, is outside of the U.S., and I'm petitioning for him to join me. He will not be able to enter because of this ban. My husband, Bashir Rahman, is an independent Yemeni journalist and a writer who is also the director of the Yemeni Institute for Social Studies. Most of his work and research was funded by the National Endowment for Democracy and by, I'm getting emotional, and the National Democratic Institute. So they know who my husband is. Bashir is also a journalist and a writer who has written extensively against extremist elements, mainly ACAP and other extremists in Yemen. He's a man that has sacrificed his own safety and security and has dedicated his career in fighting extremist ideologies. Halfway through 2015, Yemen became increasingly dangerous for him, or for independent journalists in general. And Bashir became a target for religious extremists in the south. And so he was forced to escape the war, first traveling by boat to Djibouti, then traveling to Goa in India. There I joined him, and we got married in January of 2016. After our wedding, I petitioned for him to join me in the United States. His application went through a rigorous process of vetting that lasted almost a year. And his I-130 was approved in November 18 of 2016. Knowing that we would finally be able to be together made us both so full of hope and joy. But then the first executive order, aka the Muslim ban, was signed. And today, after having the first executive order struck down by the courts, President Trump has signed a newly packaged executive order that is just as bad as the first one. I don't know what will happen with this ban, but what I do know is that I want my husband here with me. I keep thinking about the thousands of innocent people that will be turned away in the upcoming weeks, months, lives put on hold, families and loved ones separated, forced to live in fear and uncertainty. This is the essence of the new executive order. The aim is to terrorize and punish the most vulnerable and weak. My husband cannot go back to Yemen because his life would be in imminent danger. I have a constitutional right as an American to have my husband with me, and no ban can keep us apart. I ask all freedom-loving Americans to keep moving, to keep fighting, just as you did last month, and to keep making noise, to get engaged by contacting your local officials, to coming out to the streets, because Arab Americans and Muslim Americans have suffered long enough, and it is time for this madness to end. You are my hope, and the hopes of millions of innocent people like me. I just want to say, let's reclaim America and our democracy from this extreme fringe in the White House. Wednesday, March 8th, I will be speaking at the Women's Strike, with the International Women's Strike, and I am hoping that you all would join us, because we are also striking against this ban. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Rabia. It's important to understand the human toll that these kinds of executive orders take, and I think Rabia spoke so eloquently and powerfully about that. Next, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Arjo, who is a Sudanese immigrant who can talk about how this ban affects the Sudanese and the African communities. Please welcome Elizabeth.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Arjog, and I'm from South Sudan. My family and I moved to the States in 1995 as refugee asylums. If we didn't come here as refugees, I don't know where we would be right now. Imagine a mother not knowing when to feed her kid next, where they'll sleep next. And that's exactly what I went through. We tracked down, we moved to Ethiopia in the 80s when I was about 2 or 3 years old in the military trucks. And then we had to move back because there was a war going on in Ethiopia and also within the South Sudanese community. We walked for months. And I used to cry because I didn't know where we were going. I would see a bunch of trees and I would ask my mom, are we there yet? And she would say, yeah, you see those trees? We're almost there. And then I realized we're not there. We're not going to make it. You know, it was just so hard. And the same thing is still happening right now. And it really breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that, I'm sorry. That so many people are still fighting for their lives. They don't know what's going to come next or tomorrow or where life will take them. And this refugee ban or Muslim ban is so unfair. If we're all working as a global community, why aren't we helping each other? This is not going to benefit anyone at all. It's not benefiting the little kids in South Sudan or in Aleppo, or, you know, no one is benefiting. And Mr. Trump, please reconsider this refugee ban. There are people that are dying. Their lives are hanging. They're just dying. That's the sad truth. People are dying. And if we can't help them, no one is going to help them. And I'm so proud and happy, you know, that I'm a citizen of the United States and I can speak and have the freedom of speech. I have shelter, I have food, I can go to school, you know, and that's what I would want for any child. Doesn't matter what their religion is. Doesn't matter where they're from. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. One thing I want to emphasize is that this executive order not only harms children in South Sudan or children in Aleppo, but it also harms children in Brooklyn, in Rochester, in Buffalo. That's who this executive order hurts at the end of the day. Because when we welcome refugees, when we open our arms and we welcome them, then we benefit as a country as a result. Next, I would like to introduce Noha Mahmoud, who is from the Arab American Association of New York, one of the NYC's strongest members. Please welcome Noha.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Noha Mahmoud. I am an Egyptian American, a Muslim American hailing from Staten Island, and I serve as a community organizer at the Arab American Association of New York. The Arab American Association of New York is located in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, one of the largest Arab communities in New York City. At our organization, we serve hundreds of Arab and Muslim community members every day, including Somali, Sudanese, Syrian, Libyan, Iranian, and Yemeni clients. Our community at AAANY is outraged and hurt at the ban being passed once again. The only purpose of this order is to instill fear within the immigrant, refugee, and Muslim communities. It violates our constitutional rights and affects our clients, their families, and their immigration statuses. Because of this ban, we have to advise our clients against traveling. We have to tell them that they cannot apply for a visa. Banning refugees from the United States is a violation of human rights. Banning Muslims from the United States is a violation of human rights. We are counting on legal representatives, council members, city and state officials to put a stop to this order as soon as possible. We at the Arab American Association of New York will do everything in our power to make sure that our communities are protected and that they don't have to endure this attack over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Has Ajili. He is a refugee from Libya, which is one of the countries that still is directly affected by this executive order. Please welcome Has.
Hello, my name is Has Ajili. I am the only Libyan refugee who was admitted to the United States in the year of 2016. I grew up in Libya as a teenager. I never felt I belonged there. I knew I was different. I knew I wasn't accepted for who I am. But I also know that there's a big magical place. A great country, a country of immigrants, a country of refugees, a country of people of all walks of life. And it has its arms open for the likes of me, if only I can make it one day. And that's what kept me going. That's what kept me fighting and surviving. Because I had a dream, I had a hope, I believed that one day I might be there. Sadly, that's not the case for the same teenager now, who is out there feeling alone, unaccepted, and hopeless. And that same great country had shut the door on his hopes and dreams. I was one exam shy from graduating and being a doctor when a former friend of mine had discovered some private matter on my computer and outed me as a gay man in my university. I saw the door closing on my dreams as I stood there powerless. In 2014, things got really bad in the country. I saw ISIS moving closer to the country. I saw videos of people being beheaded or thrown from a high building just because of being gay. And one night I decided that that's it for me and I had to leave. I managed to get one-way ticket to Jordan, where I stayed for a few hours, and then I took another ticket and I went to Lebanon. Because I had some friends there, I thought they might help. A few days later, I went to the UNHCR office and I applied for asylum. And I got it after months of waiting and interviews. And then I had my refugee certificate after also months of waiting and interviews. And when you feel and you know that your life or the decision about your life is in someone else's hands, it's not in yours, you will stay just hopeless and waiting. And where I stayed there, I could not work. I didn't have any permit to work. So I had to survive and make it happen until I finally hear and see what the decision would be for my life. Years and months passed until I got a phone call saying that I was one of the 1% of the total amount of refugees who have a chance to be resettled in third country. And then years just passed by before I started the resettlement process. And one of my interviews took a day of interrogation and questions about every intimate details that you could and you could not imagine. Then I had to, the International Organization for Immigration had to flew me to Slovakia in something called Emergency Transit Center, where I had to stay until I had my last interview with Homeland Security. I had to stay there for 4 months before I got here in June last year. I have been told that after 5 years I get my citizenship, and after 1 year I'm required by law to apply for a green card. So in next June I have no idea what will happen. I don't know if I will be able to apply for a green card or I wouldn't. I don't know if I will be here or will be deported, and I have no idea. I'm just uncertain. And that's exactly what I ran away from. I came here to start a new life, to build a new life as everyone from the old Americans did. And that's what I see myself as. I see myself just as a new American. All Americans were immigrants and or refugees at one point of life. And this ban is only taking the hope out of people. These people in these regions has other problems and obstacles to actually pass, to even think of coming here. But when you put this ban, it's just a cruel way of taking a hope out of someone, taking a hope that one day you would survive or one day you will have a place where people will welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, Haas. I think Haas's case illustrates the fact that when the president and the administration talk about the need for more vetting for refugees, we already have ultra-extreme vetting. The kind of refugee resettlement vetting process that we have takes up to 3 years, engages more than 3 federal agencies. So the idea that refugees are simply coming into our country without any kind of vetting is just that. It's false. And so we need to push back against that and get the facts out there about the refugee resettlement process. Next, I would like to introduce Amaha Casa, the Executive Director of African Communities Together, who can talk about why this executive order is going to harm their communities and also about the action that they are setting.
Good afternoon. My name is Amaha Casa. I'm the Executive Director of African Communities Together. I stand before you as an Ethiopian immigrant, as the son of a father who was in a refugee camp during World War II in Kenya, and as someone who came to the U.S. as a child, as an asylum seeker. And as we look at the travel ban 2.0, the Muslim ban 2.0, we really have to look at it and say it's not a significant change. It's really a case of same mess, different day. Yes, there have been some minor tweaks for the things that were most outrageously unconstitutional, like affecting green card holders. However, we still have a freeze on refugee resettlement. We still have a slashing of refugee resettlement levels in half for this year. We still have countries being singled out, countries like Somalia and Sudan, that have no record of involvement with any threats to national security. The Muslim ban, the travel ban, is a solution in search of a problem. Refugees are not the problem. Refugees are contributors to the vital fabric of New York and to the U.S. So we, as refugees, as immigrants, are not rolling over. We're not stepping back. We are raising our voices. We are highlighting the effects of this on our communities. We're in Women's History Month. And we are showing that combined with other executive orders by the Trump administration, particularly the ratcheting down of asylum, these executive orders represent a humanitarian disaster. We serve members every day, women who are fleeing forced marriage, female genital mutilation, domestic violence, and right now they're protected by asylum. Right now many of those women are able to seek resettlement through refugee resettlement. These executive orders cut right at the heart of those protections. We serve people every day who are fleeing religious violence, fleeing conflict, and people who are simply seeking safety for themselves and their families. So we are standing up, we are saying no. We are saying that we as New Yorkers are still a city of refuge. We are still the city that the country that erected a giant statue in our harbor that says, "Give me your tired, give me your poor, give me your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." We want to stand up and show as New Yorkers that we still lift the lamp beside the golden door. Next week, on Tuesday, March 14th, we are organizing an action called City of Refuge in defense of refugees, asylum seekers, and temporary protected status holders. We're going to be rallying in front of the Trump Building at 40 Wall Street and marching from there to Trinity Church, which is a place of sanctuary for immigrants. On the following day, Wednesday the 15th, we're going to march from Trinity Church up to Federal Plaza, the Federal Building. And we are inviting all New Yorkers to join us in saying we are a city of refuge and we will remain a city of refuge. We reject the executive orders. We reject the refugee ban. We reject the Muslim ban. Please join us.
Thank you. Yes, and we as the NYSC are very proud to support the City of Refuge action next week. It's absolutely vital to, as Amma had mentioned, lift that lamp and give that message and that signal that New York still stands for its refugees and its immigrants. Last but not least, I would like to introduce Lenore Friedlander. She is a leader at SEIU 32BJ, which has long been one of the foremost unions on the front lines of social justice. So please welcome Lenore.
Thanks, Steve. My name is Lenore Friedlander. I'm assistant to the president at SEIU Local 32BJ. We are a union, a labor union, made up